Okay, it's another quick video for myself, Harvey Goldman. No cuts, no edits, no filters, and no hair. Glorious day. I'm trapped inside doing a 9 to 5, sadly. But I have got sunglasses on for my break, so all is not lost. So today's video, the Great British Water Scam, and why we're being asked to pay more for rivers that are more polluted, seas that are increasingly more unswimmable, and for drinking water that is ever more unfit for human consumption. Let's get into it. So, we know that we're in awful April. We know that bills for some households, most households, have gone up anywhere from £1,100 to £1,500 a year. The water bill is a part of that. As of April 2025, the average annual UK water and wastewater bill in England and Wales has gone up by £123, basically making it £603. That's a 26% increase from the previous year. Now, obviously, there are regional variations at play. Some regions, they face even worse hikes. For example, Southern Water, their customers, some of them experiencing a 47% increase. Their annual bill's gone up to £703. It's mental. And all of this is despite record highs in terms of sewage discharges, increased sewage spills, and persistent overflow events. Now, in terms of sewage spills, get this, in 2024, untreated sewage was discharged into English waterways for over 3.6 million hours. And that's actually marking an increase from the previous year. But sadly, either way, that sets an all-time new record. Think about that, 3.6 million hours. That is mental. Now, part of this can be blamed, obviously, on a lack of investment in things like infrastructure, on like the old system that the waterways are currently running on. There are improvements or alleged improvements that are made every year. I reckon probably they're quite underwhelming, despite the promises of infrastructure upgrades. The frequency and the duration of sewage spills indicate that necessary investments are probably not being made enough to modernise our ageing systems. And there is no more indication of that than where I live, in fact, in the southwest. It is absolutely awful. There are obviously regulatory changes. People like the Environment Agency, they've acknowledged that spill counts and durations remain unacceptably high. And that, again, highlights the need for more stringent oversight and improved systems. However, in terms of controversy, what about compensation? Despite all of these environmental breaches, despite inadequate service delivery, executives at the major water companies continue to get substantial bonuses and record paychecks. So this, in my mind, raises massive questions over accountability. Who's actually being called up on this? Who is responsible? Where does the buck actually stop? Now, obviously, there's been a little bit of customer backlash. There has been call for reform in terms of public outcry. I think the combination of rising bills, the environmental sort of catastrophes that befall us every time there's a spill, it has led to increased dissatisfaction, shall we say. And there have been demands for systemic change within the water industry, as well as many others. Will they listen? Probably not. We need to advocate for change, I guess, using environmental groups. We need more consumer advocates. We need the rich, the powerful, those that have got a voice to make their voice heard. They need to shout loud for stricter regulations and more importantly, greater transparency to ensure that customer payments actually contribute to service improvements and not to executive or C-level bonuses. What's it like where you live in terms of water? How do you find the drinking water? How do you find your day-to-day usage of water? Is it acceptable? Is it below what you think you should be willing to accept given what you pay? I know that for my part, I do think that I overpay for the water that I use. And I also feel that the water quality that I get is probably not the best quality. And if I'm saying that, living in Devon, where traditionally I suppose we are known to have good clean air, good clean water, if I'm saying that, I only shudder to think what people in the major cities like London, like Bristol, Liverpool, Manchester, what their water must be like. And I know there is a hardness rating on water, and I think the hardness is determined by the amount of scale that it leaves behind in your kettle when you boil the water, and also the amount of chemicals that they need to put in it to treat it. And Devon and Bristol, sort of Avon, Devon, Cornwall, Somerset, those areas traditionally have always had the best and the most reasonable tasting water. I believe, in my experience, that it is now lacking. I think in the last few years it has gone properly downhill. And obviously something needs to be done. We can't be expected to pay more for a service and get less quality. That seems like a backward step. I don't mind paying more for anything. I don't mind being told that my food is going to cost more necessarily, as long as the quality of it is going up. I don't mind being told that water's going to cost more, but there needs to be some improvement to justify that cost, not just that the CEO of the water company can only afford 4 holidays in Antigua this year. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Really interested to find out what the opinion is and what you think of the water where you live. Let me know. So YouTube's going to put another video there. Maybe check that one out. You might like it, you might not. I'm going to get back to sunning my bald head. And yeah, another video tomorrow. Goldman, peace out.